my experience from a parent perspective, again, is where I've had the most difficulty advocating is in the medical arena. My daughter is complicated and has several departments in the hospital are involved with her care. And when we first started our journey, she was very small, a baby, and my learning curve was straight up because I had never seen a seizure before she had one in our home. And I had to learn all about epilepsy itself, and then I was thrown into the medical system, and I didn't understand why it took a long time to get tests done. I didn't understand what the terms were. I didn't understand how the tests were conducted. These were all things that I had to learn about, and that the medical community didn't necessarily volunteer the information. So if I as a parent wasn't asking, then I didn't get the information I needed, and I didn't necessarily know to ask those questions. Mm-hmm. So it was a learning process and a very, as I said, steep learning curve to know what questions to ask. And as I've gone on in this journey with my daughter, and she's almost 10 now, so been doing it for quite a while, I've learned a lot, and can't stress enough that any question you have is worth asking.
Absolutely.
And don't be afraid to bring it up. If you don't understand something, make them explain it. Right. If you wonder, the way I learned how the medical system worked was asking, why do I have to do it this way? And having them explain it to me. And a lot of times, if I was frustrated how it worked, I would explain to them why it was frustrating and how this was impacting our life. So it's making them understand what their expectations are for us, and in dealing with it, because sometimes I don't know that they understand the full impact of how they operate and what they say is on our lives as individuals actually going home and living with the condition.
Mm-hmm. Well, I used to teach middle school. That was always an entertaining experience. But I remember we would get lists of students put out by the nurse and which ailments they had. And I always thought that really wasn't any of my business what ailments they were. It's a private thing. All I needed to know what to do with them. And a lot of times we didn't have the information to know what to do with a student if they had whatever malady. I don't remember seeing anything about epilepsy. Mm-hmm. And I do know that the people I've met in education have been very open to learning about epilepsy. Well, actually, I think they have to know it because it's a liability problem for the schools. If they're not doing something reasonable, then the school can be sued, the teacher can be sued, and everybody's suing everybody now anyway.
In my place, the workplace can be sued, and I think that was part of the reason that they all of a sudden got so interested.
But you're fortunate in that some of the workplaces are willing to do that.
Absolutely.
I know of other situations where the workplaces refuses to have any information brought in, and it's almost discriminatory, but to a degree.
It is discriminatory. It's not almost, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But since I've known the people at the Epilepsy Foundation, I've learned that people with epilepsy are not little munchkins who have this little disease that you can't relate to because they're always off the wall. They're perfectly normal people who have a distraction during the day. And if you give after the episode, if you give them a half an hour, they're back to being themselves, and they go off and do what they do. However, I think a lot of times that feeling of embarrassment or shame or whatever holds the people with epilepsy back, because they're trying to live up to everybody else's expectations. I got enough trouble living up to my own. So, with the schools maybe doing a relatively good job, I can't say about industry. But advocacy, you have to be your own advocate.
Yeah.
Because no one else will do it for you, except Marcee.
Except for the Epilepsy Foundation.
And thank you.
Yes. Okay, so I think that we are going to need to wrap up. And does anybody, if any of you have anything else to add, now would be the time. But we thank you for all of your wonderful feedback.
Just know your rights. That's what one major thing I can stress about advocacy. Learn your legal rights.
Yes.
Because we have them.
Yes.
Yes.